Anyways, while all this was going on, I desperately continued to look for new solutions to get better. I knew deep down that really the only way I was going to recover was if I had found someone who had been through something similar and conquered their way through it. And over the next few months, a couple of things happened, and I met a few people who shared their stories with me. And that basically opened my mind to the possibility that my problems might not necessarily be physical in nature. One of my friends, Mo, young guy just like myself, I had visited him in San Francisco because I was seeing a doctor there. And he had told me a story. He was my age. We actually went to the same school in college. And he told me a story that in his fourth year of college, one day he woke up with this awful stomach ache. Like it was terrible. Like he would go to the bathroom and just scream. And over the next few months, he kept going from doctor to doctor, going to specialists, and they couldn't find anything wrong with him. But he was in a significant amount of pain, and it persisted, and it kept going for a year, and he became obsessed with it, and he just kept trying to look for answers, but he wasn't getting anywhere. And one day he just made a conscious decision and realized that every single ounce of his energy was going into thinking about his problem. Um, every day he was thinking about his pain, and every day he felt like shit. And he just decided one day that I am not going to fuel this fire anymore. It is no longer going to get any more of my energy. I'm going to take all my energy and I'm going to devote it elsewhere, no matter how hard it might be. And his outlet of doing that was he had started a business which started to become successful. But he took all his energy and all his passion and he just did everything he could to not let his pain distract him anymore. And he devoted all his energy into this new business. And literally within a couple of weeks, his stomach pain disappeared and never came back. And his story really hit me. Our problems were different. Mine was with my back, his was with his stomach. But it really opened my mind and made me go back and be like, that's very interesting. Around the same time, I also had a chat with my cousin. She was in her 40s, and for the past couple of years, she also had been experiencing a lot of difficulty with chronic back pain. She also had this stomach condition called colitis, and it had really ruined her life. She could no longer work. And so she started to look at all these Eastern medicine practices. She started meditating a lot. She started to explore hypnosis. And, initially she had gone the traditional medical system of, going to doctors and same sort of stuff I had done, but she got nowhere. But after several months of meditating and hypnosis, her problems went away as well. And she's somewhat of a neurotic person who gets really stressed out. So I wasn't necessarily surprised that her problems could be psychosomatic in nature. But again, it opened my eyes that, you know, our minds can be very powerful in terms of physical responses in our bodies. The final thing that happened was just having a conversation with one of my physical therapists, Laura, at the Stone Clinic in San Francisco. She is probably, of all the many, many practitioners I've met, um, the most intelligent, so the most empathetical, someone who's very compassionate, but someone who really knows what they're talking about. And I really respected her opinion. And, one day she took me aside and just said, Kareem, if you're any other patient, you would have healed by now. I've examined your body, and there's nothing I've seen that can provide an explanation as to why you're in so much pain. And I don't know what's going on and why, but there's something going on up here. Something is going on in your brain that's like exaggerating these pain responses or making them continue. And unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you, but you got to start looking into something that may be going on up here. And again, I really respected her. And I started to kind of go along those lines and think of solutions along those lines. Um, basically all these people had opened my mind, but I definitely remained skeptical. Um, I, by nature, I'm a very laid back person. I'm very relaxed. I don't get very stressed about things. I had a great childhood. I had a family that loved me. I've never been through any childhood traumas, and it just didn't make sense to me that my pain could be have anything to do with my emotions. Like, maybe someone who's kind of crazy or been through a lot or just had kind of that OCD neurotic personality. But I wasn't like that, so I kind of dismissed that it had something to do with me, and I just kind of continued with my physical treatments. But it basically wasn't until several months later when I finally found my answer. Basically, it was 2 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning all night. I was just in a ridiculous amount of pain. I had to pop some really strong painkillers, and I just went to my computer. I went on Google, and I just searched like chronic back pain forum. I was basically looking for people who had been through what I had been through, hoping maybe there was a forum where they shared their stories. And I came across this site called healingwell.com, and basically a forum for people living in chronic pain sharing their stories. And I read people's posts, and they had stories very similar to mine. And on this forum, they had a book section, where they had a few books where they recommended for people in chronic pain that they should read. And one of the books immediately stood out to me. It was called Healing Back Pain by Dr. John Sarno. And I was reading the synopsis on Amazon.com, and basically learned that Dr. Sarno was this kind of cult figure in the chronic back pain community. He had like a 90% success rate with chronic pain patients. And these claims were basically backed up by a 4.5-star rating on his book. And literally there were like 500 5-star reviews from people with stories just like me, saying that they had been in pain for years and years and years and had gone from doctor to doctor to doctor. And they visited Dr. Sarno or read his book, and usually within 2 weeks, a month or two, they had made complete recoveries. And um, I cried. I cried with tears of joy. I hadn't even opened the book yet, and I'm sorry I'm getting a little emotional, but just deep down in my soul, I knew I had finally found the answer. Um, and I ordered the book, and about a month later, I'd read it. I was pain-free. I was a normal, healthy kid again, with absolutely no limitations, and I had my life back. I was going to the gym again. I was playing sports. I could drive. I could sit at my computer. I was living a normal life, and pain had become the last thing on my mind. My life had been transformed, and I couldn't believe it. And for 4 years, hundreds of treatments, and countless doctors, all I had to do was read a book? Are you kidding me? All I had to do was read a book? It didn't make sense. And it's unbelievable. And I know at this point, you're either thinking that I'm a total nut job, or you're wondering, what this magic book is all about. So let me tell you.